Hello friends, it's me, Ron Farmer Worm, and today I wanted to go over the dev insight here. This Week in Destiny. Sorry, it's the This Week in Destiny, but it comes out on Wednesday because tomorrow's Thanksgiving and whatnot. But anyways, I want to take a look at this because there's some pretty cool stuff in here. They've talked about next season. I actually haven't looked at it myself. So yeah, that's that. Let me pull it up on screen over here and we'll kind of go over it together because I know we got the artifact stuff in here too, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, so blah blah blah. This Week in Destiny. Thursday is Thanksgiving in the United States, of course. Blah blah blah, all this stuff here. I just kind of want to skip to the cool stuff, right? So of course we've got our collab announcement, collaborating with The Witcher. This armor set looks pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. The Hunter and the Warlock look incredible. The Titan, I like the mark, I like the legs. But yeah, it's kind of Witcher themed. I would assume this is probably a ship that we're gonna get with it as well. That's pretty cool. But moving on from there, we have our artifact, and this is where things get really, really fun. So in column 1, we have anti-barrier sidearm, unstoppable hand cannon, unstoppable bow, overload auto rifle, and overload pulse rifles. Fantastic. In column 2, we have let's see here, flame, fiber, and freeze. It combines the solar strand and solar stasis siphon mods into one. So it sounds like this is going to be solar strand and stasis, all in one siphon mod, basically. Kindling trigger. Radiant causes solar weapons to apply scorch to unscorched targets. This is going to be really freaking fun for for solar builds. So that's exciting. Blast radius. Rapid final blows with rocket launchers and grenade launchers grant armor charge. Okay. Origin perk specialization. I'm sorry. Let me zoom in here so y'all can see this a little bit better. Origin perk specialization 1 improves the benefit provided by the Sundering, so that's probably the new one. Nano munitions and nanotech tracer rocket. I think nano munitions is new too, right? I don't know what nano munitions is, and nanotech tracer rockets origin traits. That's a mouthful. Additionally, weapons with these traits are always overcharged, so that's cool. So Sundering and nano munitions. Actually, no, that's wildcard. Never mind. Wild card is the one that drops the little things when you get a kill. Anyways, from whence you came, increases ability damage to taken and scorned combatants. We already know next season is kind of gonna have, I guess, like a season or a Dreaming City theme to it, so it's not really surprising that we're gonna see taken and scorned combatants. But yeah, this one seems like it's kind of all right. I also would assume the dungeon is going to feature taken or scorn, so there's that. Column 3, we've got Flint Striker, a rapid solar weapon precision hits and rapid solar weapon final blows grant radiance. Again, that is really cool. Torch, while radiant, deal increased weapon damage to combatants affected by strand and stasis debuffs. This to me sounds like it's going to be really good with that shotgun. What's it called? Conditional finality. So make sure to go out and get your conditional finality in Root of Nightmares this week. Heart of the Flame, casting your super grants nearby allies radiance and increases the damage of your super for each nearby ally. That also sounds pretty sweet. Origin perk specialization 2 improves the benefits provided by the Noble Deeds, Unsated Hunger, Head Rush, and Dragon's Vengeance origin traits. Dragon's Vengeance, that's another new one. So that's pretty sweet there. Dragon's Vengeance is going to be a new. So we got Sundering, Dragon's Vengeance, and I think nano munitions are going to be the origin traits for next season. Additionally, these weapons are always overcharged. Okay, the last one in the third column, Wished into Being. While your super is nearly fully charged, ability final blows spawn orbs of power. Wearing Season of the Wish armor decreases super amount threshold. So I think this is the first ever mod we've seen where wearing the seasonal armor sets will actually give you like a benefit to a artifact mod. Sorry, I can't talk. All right, that's pretty cool. Column 4, Unraveling Orbs. Picking up an orb of power grants strand weapons unraveling rounds. That sounds like it's going to be fantastic with the strand artifact, or the strand fragment, sorry, that gives you woven mail when you pick up an orb of power. Pillar of Ice, killing an encased combatant spawns stasis crystals. Stasis builds are about to become incredibly fun, especially stasis titans. Revitalizing Blast, causing damage with a solar ability, weakens champions and bosses for a short duration. So weakens is, I think, what, 15% debuff. That sounds pretty good, especially, oh man, I can't wait to do my my Solar's Warlock support build next season, because that's going to be fantastic right there. Overload rocket launchers. Rocket launchers are especially effective against overload champions. Dragon's Bite, breaking a combatant's shield with a strand or stasis weapon has a chance to suspend or freeze that combatant. Wow, that sounds pretty cool. Wearing Season of the Wish armor increases the chance. So yes, again, we have Season of the Wish armor tying into the mods here. But moving on to column 5, last column, Horde Shuttle. Damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a threadling. Okay, damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a threadling. Okay, that sounds pretty sweet for Swarmers builds. So yeah, there's that. Hail the Storm, shattering encased targets and stasis crystals deals increased damage. So sounds like Shatter is going to deal increased damage. Shattering a stasis crystal releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. Why is this not an aspect or a fragment? I don't know, but yeah, that sounds like a really awesome mod for stasis. Rays of Precision, while radiant solar precision final blows cause combatants to ignite. That actually sounds incredibly powerful. While radiant solar precision final blows, wow, so Igneous Hammer out there, that's about to be crazy. Watch out for that. Solo operative, while you are the only member of your fire team, you deal increased damage to all combatants. So if you're looking to solo a dungeon, might as well wait till next season and you got this mod. And then finally, Argent Ordnance. Firing a rocket launcher consumes 1 stack of armor charge, granting increased damage and reload speed until you reload or stow your rocket launcher. So rocket launchers are going to be featured next season as the heavy weapon. Of course, we've got sidearm, hand cannons, bows, auto rifles, and pulse rifles also featured. And yeah, it seems like the elemental burns are going to be solar stasis and strand. So sweet. Ability changes coming next week. Blah, 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 blah. Let's skip down to where they actually affected. Okay, so let's get started. We've laid out this a number of times in previous posts, but it's worth repeating. We believe that powerful abilities need to come at a meaningful cost to the player to enforce difficult decisions about what fits best in their build. To put it plainly, we're not hitting that goal. There are many build crafting avenues that grant flat chunks of ability energy and ignore ability cooldown tiers. This gives them extremely inconsistent value depending on what grenade, melee, or class ability you have equipped. Here's an example. A perk that grants 10% grenade energy on activation results in a cooldown reduction of 6.4 seconds to firebolt grenades, but results in a cooldown reduction of 15.2 seconds for lightning grenades. Okay, so Demolitionist cools down, basically it cools down grenades at the same rate. It's 10%, but that's different, like different times per grenade. When players stack these build crafting elements together, for example, grenade kickstart, innovation, absolution, demolitionist, and a chunk of energy fragment, it results in long ability cooldowns having uptime that is dramatically higher than what we intend for their potential, or for their potency level. Uh-oh, I smell a nerf coming. With Season of the Wish, we're taking a first step at addressing that problem, starting in update 7.3.0 with base passive cooldown tiers for abilities will also influence the amount of chunk energy they receive from perks. For our fastest charging abilities, things are not changing. So firebolt grenades, for example, not changing at all. But as we progress through the passive cooldown tiers into slower charging abilities, that immediate burst of energy will be reduced to a floor of 50% of base for our slowest charging grenade and class abilities, and 60% of our slowest charging melee abilities. Yeah, so that sounds like a nerf to me. So basically, the longer your grenade is to cool down, the less effective certain builds and stuff are going to be. Still think they're going to be good, but I think that they're going to be not as good. Here's an example of, here's the same example under a new system. A perk that grants a base value of 10% grenade energy on activation results in a 6.4 second a reduction of 6.4 seconds for firebolt grenades, and results in a cooldown reduction of only 7.6 seconds for lightning grenades. Yeah, so it's going to take you longer to get those faster charging, it's going to take you longer to get those slow charging grenades back when you're using something like Demolitionist. That is definitely a nerf to grenade builds. So yeah, if you're using a grenade build that's using, you know, these slow cooldown grenades, keep that in mind. With Season of the Wish, we're only implementing this change for grenade, melee, and class abilities. Perks that add super energy are unchanged, so that's good. So bad juju and weapons with thresh, unchanged. We're also excluding any perk that either intentionally grants a full refund, such as knock him down, or targets only a single specific ability, like Shinobu's Vow. These will still work identically to their behavior in live game. So if you're using, Shinobu's Vow, the changes here, like, you know, to the reduction and stuff like that, aren't changing at all. So that sounds pretty, that sounds like they're going to keep certain builds alive. So Osmiomancy Warlocks, for example, it sounds like that build's going to be kept alive. Okay, perfect. In our playtesting, this results in more of the intended variance between high and low uptime abilities and an opportunity cost that more closely matches potency. But we don't expect or desire that anyone's build is going to be made obsolete overnight by this change. We're going to keep iterating on this new system going forward, so expect future updates as we see how it plays out alongside all of you. So the one thing I'm wondering about is Stasis Titans and Glacier Grenades. Glacier Grenades have a very slow cooldown, and it sounds like they're about to get even slower, which sucks, right? Anyways, staying alive. As our roster of player-elected difficulty activities have expanded has expanded in recent years, we've shifted the sandbox to enable more of our often risky gameplay loops to feel effective against increasingly difficult lineups of combatants. That's very true. This can be seen in the addition of more defense or support focused tools, including the standardization of overshields, expanded access to healing through restoration and cure, and the development of keywords like Woven Mail. However, we still need our aspirational content to remain challenging. We're currently in a position where applying combat pressure to a well-build crafted player is extremely difficult. Very true. Which doesn't leave our activity teams many options for tuning difficulty while still having things feel fair across a broad spectrum of player types. In short, player survivability at the top is way too high. Yes, think Strand Titan right here. Think about Strand Titan, a problem we've touched on in the past, and we need to find a better balance between the two extremes of enabling players to heedlessly dive into the fray, no pun intended, right? Or making it feel like a long-range chip damage is the only option to clear an encounter. To that end, we're making an initial pass at tuning some of our top-end outliers. I'm nervous for Strand Titan now, but we anticipate that this will be a process that takes place over many releases so that we can ensure things are trending in a healthy way. For this pass, we are targeting a small number of subclass keywords that we believe most strongly contribute to the excessive survivability in combat: Woven Mail, Restoration, and Devour. Okay, here we go. With 7.2.0, I think it's supposed to be 7.3, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. With 7.2.0, we took a small stab at Woven Mail's PvE damage reduction, but with, oh, there it is right there. But with the 7.3.0, we are reducing it a further 10%. It's a relatively small change. They say relatively small change. Yeah, we'll see. We want to evaluate alongside of some changes to Banner of War that you'll read about later on before taking any larger swings. Oh, so Banner of War is getting a nerf. That is pretty lame. Whatever. Woven Mail, they're reducing damage resistance versus PvE combatants from 55 down to 45%. That's a bummer. Okay. Restoration's heal rate is being reduced in both PvE and PvP, similar to the Woven Mail case. We want to see how this feels sitting alongside some changes to Throwing Hammer and Soul Invictus further down. Restoration. Okay, so reduce the healing rate at Restoration ×1 from 40 HP per second in PvE down to 35 HP per second in PvE, and they're moving the 20 HP in PvP down to only 17.5% in PvP. They also reduced the healing rate at Restoration ×2 in PvE by 15, so going from 65 down to 50, and then in PvP it is 7.5%, going from 32.5 down to 25 HP. Which okay, so that's kind of a bummer because that's, you know, Solar Warlock, a support build. That's a pretty hefty nerf, I think. Last up is Devour, whose potency is largely due to the ease of use of the Echo of Starvation fragment, which was initially developed when there were fewer orbs of power being generated. This is 100% true. There's not a Void build I use that does not use Echo of Starvation. Echo of Starvation is the one that gives you Devour when you pick up an orb or a Void Breach. So it's initially developed when there are fewer orbs of power being generated. We're making targeted changes, or a targeted change to Devour that excludes Void Walkers, reducing its heal amount from 200 HP to 100 HP unless Feed the Void is equipped. For our Void Walkers out there, we're also increasing the amount of grenade energy that Devour grants with Feed the Void to offset some of the chunk energy changes detailed above. So this is okay. So this is one of the things I've actually talked about before is, you know, when it comes to Void Walkers, there's not a good reason to use Feed the Void, right? Because you can put on Echo of Starvation, easily make an Orb of Power and get Feed the Void, or get Devour going without having to get it killed. So this is a big deal, right? So Devour on every class except for Warlocks who are using Feed the Void, you're only going to get 100 HP per kill. So it's not going to full heal you anymore. Wow. I actually, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. I did not see that coming. But also, if you have Feed the Void on, you're going to get more grenade energy, and I'll probably maybe tell us about that down here. But Devour, the healing amount on both activation and when refresh reduced from a full heal to 100 HP unless Feed the Void is equipped, now refills both health and shield sections more smoothly rather than adding health to each section separately. Okay. Feed the Void, increase grenade energy regeneration per kill while Devour is active. This amount varies based on the type of target defeated. Okay. Now also improves the strength of Devour's heal when equipped. So like I said, when you have Feed the Void equipped, you're still going to get that full heal every kill you get. Interesting changes. Okay, sprint and slide melees. In update 3.4, we made the decision to remove the capability for shoulder charge abilities, shield bash, side strike, hammer strike, blah, blah, to one-shot enemy players. Oh, here we go. This was part of an ongoing effort to make sure that any one-shot ability in the game comes with significant risk or cost, whether that's a significant wind-up time, such as Thunderclap or Consecration, aim skill, which is Flux Grenade, or a specific build crafting choice, such as Peregrine Greaves. We believe that this is still the right call and want to maintain the intended level of risk for using powerful melee abilities against players. I smell it coming. I've talked about this nerf for a long freaking time, and I smell it coming right now. Players are currently able to circumvent this change by sliding, firing their weapon, and still being able to initiate the shoulder charge or slide melee. While this results in an effective one-shot kill that is extremely difficult to track or understand if you are on the receiving end. Starting in Season of the Wish, firing your weapon while sliding now prevents the activation of sprint or slide activated melees. Yes! Sorry. Oh, baby. We talked about this. We talked about this being one of the biggest issues with Titans, right? They could slide shotgun, Antaeus Ward's slide shotgun. I mean, it's a free kill from like 20 meters away. No longer, baby. Ow! Sorry, that's exciting. Okay, we originally intended for this change to be isolated to shoulder charge abilities, but in our initial playtesting, we quickly realized that the shoulder charge was easily replaceable with Tempest Strike, Lightning Surge, or other slide melees. Yes, it is. I've been shotgun, Tempest Strike, shotgun, Lightning Surge too many times to count. It's very frustrating. Or including them in the change as well. Sprint and slide activated melees can no longer be activated after the player fires their weapon during a slide. This effect will change, this affects the following melee abilities: Seismic Strike, Shield Bash, Hammer Strike, Howl of the Storm, Consecration, Fleece, Storm, Lightning Surge, and Tempest Strike. Alongside this change, we're also increasing the potency of Tempest Strike, which has felt somewhat left behind given the powerful synergy between Flow State and Lethal Current. Okay, so Tempest Strike, increasing the base damage from 110 to 125, so it's getting more damage. That's awesome. Rework the tracking behavior to be more consistent at longer ranges. Improve consistency when traveling through terrain. Guys, I called it a long time ago. I knew like this has been a problem, and so many people are like, no, it's not a problem. It's been that way for so long. Blah 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 blah. No, it's finally changing. Thank the Lord. So that is, in my opinion, this is a direct like Titan nerf. Like, yes, technically, Warlocks can do Lightning Surge, Hunters can do Tempest Strike, but this is more of a nerf to Titans. Good nerf that needed to happen, but yeah. Okay, Bonk Hammer and Banner of War. Oof, these are the ones we use Synthoceps on. With Season of the Witch, we released Banner of War, which has quickly jumped to the top of the aspect list for our Titan players. Of course it has. What'd you expect? It's currently equipped to nearly 20% of all Titan playtime for the Season of the Witch activities. Of course it is. This is rivaled only by Into the Fray at 15% of playtime. Yes, because most Titans are honestly using Banner of War and Into the Fray like together, right? Which would account for like 35%, I guess, if my math is right here. 35% of all Titans, which is Banner's natural pairing that we said right there. We are very happy with the way Banner of War has supported the Berserker class fantasy and don't want to reduce its ability to do so at maximum charge. However, it's currently too easy to build up to that maximum charge very quickly in content with sufficient density of combatants, especially with the help of your teammates. With Season of the Witch, we are making a change to slow down the charge progression, increasing the number of defeats required to level the banner up at such tiers. As a part of this change, we're also significantly increasing the timer extension granted by each enemy to compensate. Okay, that's fantastic. That was my concern when reading that first part. So, Banner of War, they're increasing the number of enemy defeats necessary to level up the banner by approximately double and increasing the amounts of time added per enemy at each level to compensate. So it sounds like you're going to get, what is it? I think it adds 1 second for a red bar enemy and 2 seconds for anything else. So it's going to go from 1 second to 2 seconds now, and then 2 seconds to 4 seconds now, I think. These values vary depending on the type of target defeated. Fix an issue where unpowered swords were being granted a damage boost by Banner of War. So Banner of War is getting both a nerf and a buff at the same time. I think so. This is you know, if you're playing Banner of War with teammates and your teammates are taking advantage of your Banner of War, I think it's still going to be equally as powerful, if not even stronger now. But I think the solo banner, you know, efficacy is probably going to drop off a little bit. Like once you get those high numbers going, once you get banner ×4 and you're going to stay on top, right? Because you don't have to level up anymore and you're still getting double the amount of time you used to get. But yeah, big changes to Banner of War. I only see this really affecting solo players or players who aren't in a fire team that is, you know, building into their Banner of War. Moving on though, let's talk Bonk. Prior to Solar 3.0, Throwing Hammer was in the Code of the Devastator subclass tree, which didn't have much in the way of survivability tools, other than picking up the hammer after a hit. This meant that players needed to be significantly more careful in their play, and generally weren't as capable of standing in a champion or boss's face with impunity while they chucked a hammer at his torso over and over and over again. While this makes for a fun visual, we don't believe that this behavior is healthy for the game, so alongside the change to restoration detailed above, we're looking more fundamentally at how Throwing Hammer functions. Okay. I wonder if they're about to give it the Hunter Strand melee ability treatment, right? We started this section off talking about the relationship between potency and uptime, and how the rules of the sandbox begin to break down when these don't match up for a given ability. Throwing Hammer isn't currently isn't currently matching up. We don't want to remove the full energy refund on pickup because the conventional gameplay loop is still really fun, but we do want to add some downtime between throws to discourage the stand next to the boss and bonk them behavior. Sorry, my phone's going on. To that end, picking up a Throwing Hammer will now return its energy over a short duration. Okay, so that's very interesting. Rather than instantly. So it sounds to me like when you throw a hammer, you're going to hit an enemy, you'll run over, you'll pick it up, and you're guaranteed to get 100% melee energy back, but it's going to happen over 1.4 seconds, right? So you're not going to be able to spam the bonk hammer against the boss anymore. We're also increasing the projectile's tracking strength so that players who choose to chuck the hammer at longer ranges are more consistently rewarded for taking that risk. That is fantastic. I've been complaining. That's one of the reasons I don't use the throwing hammers, because it feels like its tracking sucks. So yeah, that's a good change. Let's see here. Part of this equation is also Sol Invictus, which offers reliable safe havens in some sunspots. Similarly to our throwing hammer changes, we don't want to discourage players who want to move from position to position, advancing through the combat space, but do want to make sure that players who bunker in dangerous positions, such as at the feet of a boss, aren't able to do so for too long. So here are the changes they're making to Sol Invictus. They are reducing maximum sunspot duration from 20 seconds down to 12 seconds. I don't like that at all. I don't think that's a good change, but whatever. This duration is only ever reached when the player is standing inside the sunspot. Sunspot durations without the owner standing in them still remains unchanged at 5 seconds. I would say if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna reduce it down to 12 seconds, increase this like 7-8 seconds. Anyways, Well of Radiance and Word of Dawn. Oh, here we go, baby. Okay, with update 3.4.0, we made a change on super cooldowns, placing Well of Radiance and Word of Dawn in the fastest charging tiers. This decision was largely based on their kill potential versus supers that deal burst damage or allow you to roam the battlefield for the potential of team wipes. The game has changed significantly since then, and with changes to Trials of Osiris, Dominion as the game mode, and shorter round times in general, we want to reevaluate their placement. Again, we talked about this, needed to happen. In Season of the Wish, we are increasing their base cooldowns by 1 tier, matching the passive cooldowns of some of our burst supers like Blade Barrages and Chaos Reach. Our goal for Well and Ward is to have stronger competition in round-based modes, giving other players more tools to effectively deal with them under the time pressure that a mode like Dominion has. Well of Radiance and Word of Dawn increased base cooldown from 417 seconds to 455 seconds. Yeah, guys, we knew this was coming. Like, we knew Bungie couldn't ignore it any longer. For those of y'all who may not be in the trial space very often, there is essentially a strategy you can use where you fight the enemy team as normal, but if you have on max intellect and either a well or a bubble, you can just put your bubble or well down on that point on the Dominion zone on the last round and win it for free, unchallenged, right? That's one of the reasons why conditional finality has been so popular inside of the Crucible, was this exact reason right here. So they're changing Well of Radiance and Word of Dawn, which is fantastic because it's, like I said, long time overdue. But let's keep going on. On a longer time frame, we are evaluating Well and Ward's place in the sandbox more fundamentally. These two supers are currently operating in too similar a space, leaving little room for them to breathe on their own. Well of Radiance in particular offers too much, and its effective invulnerability is not something we believe the sandbox can or should continue to support. Not making further changes to Well or Ward with the Season of the Wish, but we have a suite of future changes planned to reduce Well's dominance in PvE and push the gameplay space of these two supers further apart. Again, I think initially we were going to do this video today. We're talking about Well of Radiance, you know, and it being nerfed. Well of Radiance, it's too good. It literally outshines the bubble in every way. Right, you're invincible while standing in it. You can shoot out of it. You get, you know, basically infinite health, you know, regenerating and stuff like that. And it doesn't go away when the user dies. So we'll see some more changes on that in the future. But for now, they are just reducing the cooldown, which is great for trials. Let's move on to Stasis. The near and slightly farther future of Stasis. A week and a half ago, Stasis turned 3 years old. Oh man, Stasis has been neglected. A lot has happened in that time. We've seen massive changes in the sandbox as we released the Light 3.0 subclasses. We've added Strand as a 5th damage type in Lightfall, and the overall power bar of the sandbox has shifted significantly, resulting in Stasis feeling like it's been left behind. Yes, it has. We've given Stasis some tuning updates here and there, but we believe it's time to give it a bigger shot in the arm. Go watch our Stasis video we did yesterday. Starting in Season of the Wish and continuing in the final shape, we are making a number of quality of life changes to improve Stasis's reliability in combat. And we are reevaluating some of our previous tuning changes for Stasis abilities with the goal of bringing them up to current abilities power bar. Here we go. All right, let's start with the fragment suites. For this release, we focused on our stat bonuses and penalties. Oh, that's a bummer. Removing those that felt unnecessary, tweaking them to make underperforming picks a little more attractive, or shifting them to better suites the gameplay of the fragment. So Whisper of Hedrons, they removed the minus 10 strength penalty. Sorry, I'm trying to read all these right now because I'm so excited. Whisper of Impetus now provides plus 10 resilience. Okay, that's good. Whisper of Impetus was one of the ones that we talked about yesterday. Whisper of Shards no longer provides plus 10 resilience. Not sure why they did that, but okay. Whisper of Hunger, stat penalty changed from minus 10 mobility and 10 intellect to minus 20 strength. Okay. Whisper of Bonds removed the minus 10 discipline penalty. Okay. I'm glad that we got these changes. We would like to see a little bit more. Hopefully we will in the future. For our hunters, we're making changes targeted at improving the reliability of Withering Blade in all content and Winter Shroud in PvE. Withering Blade now travels faster and has longer lifetime, bounces an additional time before expiring, and is more consistent in finding a target both before and after a bounce. Withering Blade increased projectile speed by 10%, count from 2 to 3, and of course they increase tracking consistency. Winter Shroud is getting an update to be more forgiving against PvE combatants. With a longer slow duration and increased area effect, we're also increasing its slow stack against PvE combatants from 40 to 60. This is exactly what we talked about yesterday. Thank the Lord, enabling things like 6 Coyote to more easily freeze enemies, or for a freeze to occur more quickly after a quick dust field dodge combo. Yeah, Winter Shroud, we talked about this yesterday. It needed to have more freeze stacks or more slow stacks. So yeah, that's a good change. Increased slow stacks applied to PvE combatants from 40 to 60, increased slow duration applied to PvE combatants from 4 to 8 seconds, and increases the slow detonation size versus PvE combatants 8 to 9 meters. Fantastic. Oh, here we go. Titans. For Titans, we're walking back a few changes made in hotfixes 3.1.1.1 and 3.2.03 to Shiver Strike and Glacial Quake that no longer fit the current sandbox. We've returned the ability to freeze. We've returned the ability to freeze nearby players on cast with Glacial Quake. Oh my God, I actually forgot you could do that. Yeah, so in the past, basically, when you'd activate Glacial Quake, you would just have this massive freeze area around you. So you could run into the heat of combat, pop that super, it would freeze everybody around you, kind of like Frost Pulse for Warlock, and then you can go to town. So yeah, that's coming back with a reduced radius from its previous version. That I'm kind of okay with because its old version was absolutely freaking huge. Making casting it in close quarters significantly safer than its current iteration. For Shiver Strike, we've restored its slow application to players on hits. Okay, that's good. This was previously removed in a world where collision damage was still lethal to players. Now the targets don't need to be able to air brake with a movements mode or risk being splattered. We're more comfortable giving Shiver Strike a bit more offensive spice. Okay, that's pretty good. Is that the only changes they're making in Titan? Oh my lord. Okay, Shiver Strike now slows players on hits, a behavior previously removed in 3.2003. Fixed an issue where Shiver Strike would not function with the melee kickstart armor mod. Glacial Quake now freezes nearby targets on cast, a behavior previously removed in hotfix 3.1.1. On cast, freeze impulse size versus players had been reduced from 8 meters to 6 meters. We're also implementing a change to Howl of the Storm's consistency against players, because seeing a target touching a stasis crystal created by Howl of the Storm and not being frozen was a frustrating experience. I think that this was not so much Howl of the Storm, but this was more due to the change they made to stasis crystals in general, where stasis crystals don't freeze you unless you are literally inside the crystal when it spawns. But Howl of the Storm, they fixed an issue where Howl of the Storm was not consistently freezing targets in contact with the created stasis crystals. For Warlocks, we're making a couple of quality of life improvements to Frost Pulse and Penumbral Blast. Shadebinder is a strong pick already, true, with Osmiomancy, only if you have Osmiomancy, and we don't feel like it needs much of a push, so we're focusing on areas where it can sometimes fail the reliability test. Frost Pulse's area of effect is being increased against PvE combatants, and we're improving its network performance. Okay, so Frostbolt significantly increased consistency against fast-moving targets. This change involved reworking how this applies freeze to targets, reducing the latency between when the ability is activated and when the target is actually frozen. They have, the freeze detonation size versus PvE combatants is now increased from 8 to 8.5 meters. Penumbral Blast is intended to be a one-shot, intended to be a skill shot with a high output. But the change made in hotfix 3203 to reduce its detonation size when impacting the environment can sometimes make it feel too inconsistent. With update 7.30, we are increasing that detonation size by 33% to increase its ease of use. Yeah, so this is one of the big things, like, it stresses me out when I'm playing on Warlock. You know, obviously Osmiomancy, Ice Flare Bolt, stuff like that, great. But when I use Penumbral Blast and I hit right next to a target with Penumbral Blast and it doesn't freeze him, that's the most aggravating thing ever. So they're increasing it. They're increasing the detonation size when impacting the environment from 1.5 to 2 meters. That's a big deal. I'm very, very happy that is the case. Shade Binders will also directly benefit from a tuning change being made to Glacier Grenade. Currently, Bleak Watcher's cooldown is directly tied to the base cooldown of Glacier Grenade, regardless of what grenade you have equipped. With update 7.3.0, Glacier Grenade's cooldown is being reduced. Thank the Lord, that's fantastic. Which will also translate to a lower Bleak Watcher cooldown. Glacier Grenade reduced base melee cooldown time from 152 seconds to 121 seconds. So it's right at 2 minutes instead of 2.5 minutes. So that's good. That's a good change. I'm glad they're finally changing Glacier Grenade. The cooldown penalties for Dustfield Grenade and Cold Snap Grenade with Bleak Watcher is equipped have also been updated so that their cooldown matches the new Glacier Grenade cooldown time. Okay, so when we talked yesterday, we said that, you know, Bleak Watcher should just match the cooldown of whichever grenade you have equipped. Yeah, so they didn't do that, but they did give us a faster Glacier Grenade cooldown. So, you know, that's good. While Cold Snap Grenade's reliability has improved with our recent passes, there are still instances where it can fail to meet expectations, so we're making a few further tweaks. Cold Snap Grenade fixed an issue where the Seeker was not consistently created in the direction the projectile was moving after a bout. Increased arming shape size from 0.9 meters to 1.4 meters. Okay. And then tracking strength now ramps down from full strength to 0 over the course of the grenade's lifetime, rather than immediately turning off after the Seeker had reached 1.5 seconds lifetime. Yeah, that's a good change right there, because currently you throw a grenade out and it would start tracking, but after 0.5 seconds it would just lose its tracking. Sometimes it just felt like you just lose it, like be completely gone. Now it's going to just kind of slowly deteriorate, so it'll still track. And this is a buff, right? This is a buff. It'll track a little bit better. Hopefully be more consistent. Finally, we're increasing the bonus damage that special weapons deal to frozen targets by a small amount to help make shattering enemies feel more consistent. Freeze. Increase special ammo weapon damage versus increase special weapon damage bonus versus frozen targets from 5 to 10%. So what does that means that the special weapons are going to deal 20%? Yeah, 20% more damage, or I'm sorry, special kinetic weapons will now deal like 20% more damage to targets, which is pretty good. Regular special weapons will only deal 15% more damage, which is still good. But yeah, these aren't the only changes for stasis that we have in the works, and we have some long requested changes for a future release that we'll discuss once they're closer. Here's a quick sneak preview. Okay, a new stasis keyword a new stasis keyword we're tentatively calling Frost Armor. Let's go, baby. Aimed at addressing some of the player feedback regarding survivability when running stasis, particularly when not using Whisper of Rhymes and Chains. Hey, there we go. This is Stasis's first buff keyword, right? So, right on. Additional tuning changes and reworks to existing stasis fragments. Adding additional behavior to the harvest aspect. Okay, very, very nice. Tune in next week for the full list of patch notes, which we will include a few items we didn't mention here. So there's still some changes coming that we don't know about. As always, we'll continue to digest feedback as it's coming in. Okay, here we go. Updated or upcoming exotic armor and armor mod changes. It's time for another set of exotic armor balance changes. We once again wanted to buff some of them underused exotics with a particular focus this time on broadening the number of viable melee-oriented exotics options for all three subclasses. Okay, so melee-oriented exotics. We also wanted to improve the least two popular Aeon cult sects with the goal that running a team of Aeon would provide more value in high-end PvE play. We also snuck in a few miscellaneous changes that we feel improve the armor sandbox. Okay, starting off with Hunter here. Shards of Galanor. Throwing knife kills now grant super energy ranging between 2.5% and 5% depending on the type of enemy killed. Yes, so Shards of Galanor, super, you know, it's a super only exotic, and we've talked about super only exotics I don't even know how many times on the channel here, but they need to do something besides just helping your super, right? Shards of Galanor was one of these. Now you're going to be getting more super energy through your neutral game kit, which is through your throwing knife. So that's fantastic. Ophidia Spade, knife kills now grant stacking damage bonus 30%, 60%, 100% for 5 seconds to throwing knives. Dodging refreshes the duration. Oh wow, Ophidia Spade might be disgusting in PvE. It might be disgusting in PvP if you get somebody who can use it effectively. That's pretty cool. Stompy's feedback about the previous Stompy's change indicated that requiring full class ability made movement while wearing this exotic feel too variable between its states and disproportionately hurt certain builds. In this update, we have removed the requirement of having full dodge energy to activate the benefits and have the reduced bonus to airborne lateral acceleration. Hold on, let me read this again so I can understand. In this update, we have removed the requirement of having full dodge energy to activate the benefits and have reduced the bonus to airborne lateral acceleration that the exotic provides to be more in line with its other bonuses: sprint speed, grounded acceleration, and airborne vertical acceleration, slide distance, and jump height. In terms of effectiveness, we also added damage resistance while airborne in PvE to make Stompies a more desirable option outside of the Crucible and jumping puzzles. Okay, so Stompies are getting some big buffs. Remove requirement to have full class ability energy to benefit from the movement bonuses. Reduce the airborne lateral acceleration bonus. So this is the thing, right? One of the things that made Stompies good was you could jump, bounce your head off the ceiling, and it would launch you forward. They've taken that out, right? So you can't bounce your head off the ceiling and go forward anymore like you used to be able to do. So that's still gone. So they're not going to be a nightmare in the Crucible as much as they were in the past. But of course they now provide damage resistance against combatants while airborne. That's pretty all right. Buccaneer's Trick Sleeve, about time. The sidearm damage bonus now persists for 5 seconds after your shields have begun to recharge. Sidearm kills extend the damage. Hold on. Oh yeah, sorry. Sidearm kills extend the damage bonus duration by 3 seconds and completely reload your sidearms from reserves. Wow. The damage bonus has been reduced in PvP to compensate for it lasting longer. Is now 10% sidearm damage, down from 35%. So this is definitely a PvE targeted nerf, but wow. Buccaneer's Trick Sleeves. Yeah, there you go. I'm already thinking of some Void builds with Devour. Get your health and shields up, get those sidearm damage cranked up and going. I wonder how this is going to affect Devil's Ruin, because Devil's Ruin already does a lot of damage. But yeah. So Bombardiers now applies 20 slow stacks to enemy players and 40 slow stacks to PvE combatants. So it sounds like they're just changing the stasis aspect of Bombardiers. Triton Vice, this needs a buff. Increased glaive melee damage while surrounded to 100% for both PvE and PvP, up from 30% in PvE and 10%. Wow, that's a huge buff. That is a huge freaking buff. Okay, so glaive melees with Triton Vice while you're surrounded is going to be absolutely goated. Holy moly, that's crazy. Celestial Nighthawk precision kills now grant super energy ranging between 1.5 to and 4.5% depending on the type of target killed. Again, Celestial Nighthawk, super only exotic. This is a fantastic change. Okay, on to Titan. Come on, baby. Severance Enclosure. Increase size and damage of the explosion. Good. It needed that. Kills with the exotics explosion will now trigger an additional explosion. Oh, wow. This is about to turn into this could potentially turn into a freaking nuke. Like, think about like the Abyss in Crota's End. Dodging, or I'm sorry, not dodging, but getting a melee kill is going to pop that bomb off, and then all those other thralls that are killed by the bomb are going to explode again. Wow, that's actually really cool. Peregrine Greaves, so I know they nerfed these. You now have to be airborne for a brief time before the exotic effects will apply. This is a change I definitely do agree with. You know, yeah, I agree with the change. Damaging champions, tormentors, or mini bosses with a shoulder charge deals further increased damage and refunds your melee energy. Hold on. Damaging champions, tormentors, or mini bosses with a shoulder charge so you deal more damage to champions, tormentors, and mini bosses, and it will fully refund your melee energy. Is that what that's what I'm reading, right? Like, I'm not crazy, right? Like, that's what it says. It says refund your melee energy. It doesn't say how much. I would assume it's full. That sounds like a huge buff. Worm God Caress. The Burning Fist exotic has been reworked. It is now a meter that increases with melee kills and finishers and decays over time. Okay, the meter is broken up into 5 seconds, which provide escalating melee and glaive damage bonuses. The upper end of the meter also provides escalating weapon damage bonuses. Oh, okay, very cool. As the meter decays, it passes back through its earlier tiers rather than deactivating immediately. The meter decays more quickly the more full that it is. So I'm wondering, the biggest issue. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna take this call. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. That was my mom. Very important. But it sounds to me like the biggest issue, I should say this, the biggest issue right now with Worm God Caress, and I would assume Winter's Guile is also gonna get this change. But the biggest issue is that timer from when you get a melee kill is only 5 seconds. This to me sounds like it's going to be a change that's going to allow that timer to be extended, right? I would probably assume like we're looking at like maybe like 15 seconds, but keeping it in that highest tier, right? Keeping it in that highest tier, like you'll only have probably like 3 seconds to get a melee kill to keep it at that high tier damage. So yeah, I mean, this is probably a pretty cool change. Hopefully it does, you know, keep that meter, so to speak, or hopefully that meter does keep the time up longer. But yeah, moving on from there, Ashen Wake. Fusion Grenade impacts now stun unstoppable champions. Okay, nice little change there. Synthoceps. Okay, here we go. Buffs or nerfs? Let's see. While we wanted to bring the generic melee bonus down a bit to give space for other more specialized melee exotics to shine in their specific niches, we felt it was safe to bring Synthocep's glaive melee bonus back up a substantial amount. We have also swapped the increased melee lunge range for increased weapon handling and reload speed. Okay, so they've removed the extended lunge distance. Okay. It now improves handling and reload speed while you're surrounded. Okay, so here we go. This is the big one. Reduce the PvE surrounded melee damage bonus to 165%, down from 200, right? So it used to be 200%, aka 3 times damage. Now it is 165, so not dealing quite as much damage. Still a lot, not quite as much. But they increased glaive melee bonus to 100%. So it used to be only 50%, now it's 100%. So that is also fantastic. So Synthoceps and Triton Vice are both going to feel really good with glaives now. Precious Scars. This is the last Titan one, right? Yeah, Precious Scars. Kills with weapons matching your subclass now apply restoration at tier 1 for 1.5 seconds in PvE and 3 seconds in PvP. I'm sorry, 1.5 seconds in PvP, 3 seconds in PvE. Okay, that sounds awesome. Moving on from there, though, we have Warlock. Okay. Oh, Ballador's Wrathweavers. Okay, here we go. Now, when you cast your Frost Pulse Rift, nearby allies gain a tier 2 Stasis Surge weapon bonus for 10 seconds in PvE and 5 seconds in PvP. They also gain 50 overshield HP. Yes, so Balvador's Wrathweavers, again, was one of those super only exotics. I don't even have this. To be completely honest, I don't have this this exotic because it's never been worth it to me. Now I'm gonna go get it. Now, when you cast the Frost Pulse Rift, so it says it's gonna give nearby allies. I wonder if it's also gonna give you a tier 2 stasis weapon surge. I bet it will. The stasis damage bonus provided to allies by Winter's Wrath Shockwave is now the tier 4 stasis surge weapon bonus. Wait, hold on. Stasis damage bonus provided to allies by Winter's Wrath Shockwave is now okay. Makes sense. When your Winter's Wrath ends, you gain the tier 4 stasis surge as well. Okay, this is a great change. Again, this is something changing an exotic is super only, and now it's giving it viability outside. It's giving that neutral game viability. Apotheosis Veil, worst exotic currently in the game. Casting your super now grants Cure 3 for you and nearby allies. After your super ends, you now temporarily gain greatly increased melee and grenade regeneration for 8 seconds. Okay, so basically you're gonna be healing everybody that's near you and yourself instantly while casting your super. So that's a good change. But after your super ends, you'll now gain greatly increased melee and grenade regeneration for 8 seconds. It depends on what that great is. Greatly increased, like what does that mean? Is that 100, 200, 300? I'm thinking probably at least 500%. I would guess it's probably more than that. I would say probably like 800%, right? Like again, Apotheosis Veil, it's a super only exotic, and they're not changing that really. Like it's still, you have to activate your super. But could this potentially be like in essence a poor man's I forget the name of those exotic gloves, the sunbracers. Could that be what this is going to be? Maybe not 5 grenades, maybe you can spam 3 grenades in that time. I don't know. Yeah, but good. Finally, we got to change that because this exotic sucked. I don't think it's really going to shift the needle very much if I'm being completely honest, but hey, we'll just have to see. Fellwinter's Helm moved the size of the weakening burst and duration of weaken up 1 tier against all targets except for finishers against bosses, which retain the maximum size and duration. So it sounds to me like basically the weakening burst is going to just be bigger across the board, right? I think that's right. Okay, Karnstein Armlets, melee kills now grant Cure Tier 3. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, Cure Tier 3 and Restoration Tier 1 for 2 seconds. Finishers now grant Cure Tier 3 and Restoration Tier 2 for 8 seconds. Okay, so Karnstein Armlets. This is, based on what we read up there with the whole restoration thing, this sounds like it's going to be a nerf. I don't know, but I also don't know what the current Karnstein Armlets melee regeneration is, right? But also they are making it tie into Solar 3.0, so it's a buff for Solar 3.0. Yeah. Still, Cure times 3. That means when you get a melee kill, you're gonna get full health. That's kind of a big deal. Because if I'm not mistaken now, Karnstein Armlets, like it gives you like 50% of your health back, or like maybe it's like 35. It gives you a big chunk of health and then starts health regeneration. Cure Tier 3. That's basically full health. All right. We'll have to see how those changes affect non-solar related subclasses. Aeon Cults, Aeon Swift, Aeon Saved, and Aeon Soul Exotic Armor all receive the following changes to their Sect mods. Okay, Sect of Force. This has been reworked to be all about providing your allies significant bonus weapon damage against powerful combatants. The bonus grenade and melee energy has been moved to be the special benefit granted to the Aeon Cult allies using a different sect. Okay, rapid precision hits provide quicker reload and weapon swap speeds, and the bonus now lasts for 10 seconds, up from 6. No longer grants bonus melee grenade or super energy on stunning a champion or defeating a boss or mini boss. Instead, stunning a champion or rapid precision hits against champions, elites, or mini bosses will mark them for your allies. Allies deal 20% more damage to marked targets. When a target is first marked, nearby Aeon Cult allies who do not have the Sect of Force role equipped gain grenade and melee energies. That's confusing changes there, but basically hitting rapid precision hits or stunning a champion is going to allow your allies to deal more damage. It's also going to give them grenade and melee energy as long as they don't have Sect of Force also applied. Sect of Insight. Sect of Insight had a strong role in in-game PvE teams, and we don't want to change that. One modification we do want to make is changing the Aeon Cult ally bonus to be super energy instead of weapon damage, as we want Sect of Force to be the source of weapon bonuses. So the change they made, nearby Aeon Cult allies who do not have Sect of Insight role equipped no longer gain a bonus to weapon damage for a short time. Instead, they gain a burst of super energy. Okay, I mean, sure, why not? Sect of Vigor already had a strong theme as the supporting role in the Aeon Cult. We want to boost its effectiveness by having it provide damage resistance in PvE in addition to its class ability benefits. Our goal is to make Sect of Vigor players shepherds for their team, keeping their allies near to protect them from harm. Okay. Now provides damage resistance against combatants when an ally dies or is resurrected, in addition to the existing class ability energy. When you cast your super, nearby allies no longer gain an instant burst of healing or an overshield. Instead, nearby critically wounded allies gain damage resistance from combatants as long as they stay near you. As long as they stay near you. Nearby Aeon Cult allies who do not have Sect of Vigor role equipped will also recover class ability energy more quickly. Okay. Number one, what is the damage resistance that you get? Number two, is there a duration on it, or is it as long as they stay close to you, like they're gonna get damage resistance? Because the thing I'm thinking about here already is Banner of War Titan with Sect of Vigor. Getting that up and going, your teammates, as long as they're critically wounded, whenever blah 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 happens, that could be crazy. You get additional damage resistance, you get infinite healing on top of Woven Mail. Like, that could be absolutely bonkers. Very cool. Okay, those are all the changes planned for exotic armor that will be available the moment Season Wish launches. As always, let us know how you feel about these. Provide them with your favorite activities, blah blah blah. Don't need to read the rest of that. Okay, here we go. Armor mod changes. Oh no. In addition to the exotic changes listed above, we're also adjusting several armor mods. To reiterate what was touched on in the gameplay section, the high potential power output of abilities means that they need to have proportional uptime and require meaningful and sometimes difficult build crafting choices. Currently, the high water mark for ability uptime is higher than we like. In order for us to hit our broader goals of reining in ability energy sources across Sandbox, we need to reduce the amount of energy fed into the energy economy via armor mods. Give me, I'm gonna grab a drink, I'll be right back. Okay. Heavy-handed, firepower, and Reaper too. So heavy-handed, firepower, and Reaper. Heavy-handed is the one where a powered melee kill makes an orb of power. Firepower is a grenade kill, make an orb of power. And Reaper is your next weapon kill after placing your class ability or using your class ability. Will create an orb of power. These now have a 10-second cooldown for generating an orb of power. That is so lame. Reaper also requires a kill to be secured within 10 seconds of using your class ability. Okay, so no longer can you just absolutely spam melee abilities. Strand Titans, Strand Warlocks can't spam melee abilities and make a bunch of orbs. You now have to wait 10 seconds between each orb. I really don't know how I feel about that one. And then Reaper, after you activate your class ability, you need to get a kill within 10 seconds or else it will not make an orb of power. Okay, Melee Kickstart, Grenade Kickstart, and Utility Kickstart now provides between 16 and 45% ability energy and requires at least a single armor charge be consumed. Is that right? Oh, give me a second. I'm gonna answer another phone call. Okay, so it's been about like 40 minutes since I started this that break, but here we go. Anyways, we left off heavy-handed, or I'm sorry, melee kickstart, grenade kickstart, and utility kickstart. It provides between 16 and 45% ability energy, and requires at least a single armor charge to be consumed. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the way that it currently works is the more grenade kickstart mods you have on your arms, that's what gives you more energy, not the more armor charges you have, right? I think that's the way it works. But maybe it's adding a little bit more consistency where, you know, if you have multiple grenade kickstart mods, for example, and you have a bunch of armor charges, it'll give you more. Or maybe, you know, if I'm understanding it here, if you had, say, 3 grenade kickstart mods, you'll get 45% energy at the cost of only 1 armor charge. I don't exactly know, but I don't know the current numbers, so maybe it's a buff, maybe it's a nerf. Momentum transfer, bolstering detonation, impact induction, and focusing strike. These are like the less powerful versions, I guess, of melee grenade and utility kickstarts. And you also get them for using your other abilities, but it now provides 12, 17, and 20% energy for 1, 2, 3 stacks respectively, and require a powered melee attack. Okay, so you're gonna have to, so you no longer, momentum transfer no longer works with any melee. It has to be a powered melee attack. That's unfortunate because I'm pretty sure it used to work with glaive melees too. At any rate, Outreach and Bomber now provide 12, 17, and 20% energy, which that's more than it used to be. That's a lot more than it used to be. I think it used to grant like 5 energy per stack, right? So 5, 10, 15%. Now it's granting a maximum of 20%. So that's good. Outreach, Bomber, and Distribution now provide Outreach, Bomber, and Distribution. I don't know why they have Outreach and Bomber here the same. Anyways, Outreach and Bomber now provide 12, 17, 15, and 20%. Distribution now provides 4, 6, and 7% ability energy. Energy provided is further reduced based on the cooldown of the class ability used, with the shortest cooldowns reducing it by 60%. Okay. We believe these changes will help return some meaningful choice to both ability usage and the armor charge system, while still allowing each armor mod to be useful. Okay, hang on, is that it? Okay, so in terms of all of these changes to, you know, a variety of exotics and you know, a variety of mods and stuff like that, it sounds like next season we're going to need to retweak our subclasses. You know, if you're using, say, Strand Titan, you know, and you've got some grenade kickstarts or whatever, it sounds like you kind of might need to start reevaluating where your ability energy is going, because, you know, these neutral mods here, momentum transfer, bolstering detonation, stuff like that, sound like they're getting better, which is awesome. Maybe you know what, hold on here, let's do this real quick. Let's go to Light GG. Oops, GG. Let's go to Light GG here and let's see what bolstering detonation is currently. All right, let's see here. 1 to 2. Okay, class energy gain with 1 or 2. So oh no, so it is a nerf. It's a nerf. It's not 20%. It's been nerfed. That's kind of a bummer. All right, well, I was wrong. Those have been nerfed. So again, gonna have to reevaluate our ability usage, which I'll say this: when it comes to ability usage, I'm kind of more or less okay with this. Ability uptime is super high. You know, earlier this week we talked about, you know, Bungie does not have any weapon-based builds because everything is so energy reliant. You know, everybody's like trying to build into getting grenades and melees and class abilities back, that the gunplay has dropped off, and this is kind of bringing it back. Now, in my opinion, not bringing it back the way it should be brought back, but it is bringing it back, which I guess is pretty good, right? But moving on here, we got the Fire Team Finder 1810. Know what to do. I'm Well-Lock. After almost 2 years of hard work, we will start Fire Team Finder's beta test shortly after Season of the Wish launches. So it's coming with Season of the Wish. My wife got me this, by the way. Starting on November 30th. Starting on November 30th, players will have access to the first public raids stress test of the new group finding tool. While we gather data to help get things working smoothly, sorry, I said that like it was its own sentence. This first test will focus only on raids, so be aware that this is one of the most ambitious launches we've had for Destiny in a long time. So please be patient and share with us all your feedback so we can work the gremlins out of the system. Our goal with this launch is clear: to ensure Fireteam Finder scales properly for millions of players and to deliver a world-class LFG tool for all activities in the near future. We have a lot more to share about this article, in the article dedicated to Fireteam Finder, so go check it out if you haven't already. Yeah, we're not gonna do that right now. Update to the cutscene archive. We don't care about the cutscene archive. Blah 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 blah. Okay, was this some very good Destiny? Don't care about Destiny's stores. Okay, so I guess that's kind of it. Updated text chat filtering. I don't really care about that. Okay, known issues. Here we go. The Ascendancy rocket launcher, does not appear in the preview screen of the Legacy Gear menu at the Monument to Lost Lights. And then all for one Crow's in Raid challenge may not be completing for players who correctly meet the conditions for the challenge. Okay. So yeah, that's sweeping changes, right? Lots of changes here. Of course, we are getting huge changes to Stasis. Very, very excited about those. Getting some nerfs, actually. Getting some nerfs to some of our other stuff. Mainly here, I mean, where is it? Right here. The Titan melee sprint slide, blah, blah, blah. I'm glad that's getting fixed. That's been needed to be fixed for a long time. But guys, there is a lot of nerfs coming next season. Lots of nerfs to good things. Woven Mail's getting nerfed. Restoration's getting nerfed. Like, there's a lot of nerfs happening. So I guess we'll just see how it all plays out. With that being said, though, this video is probably run on long enough. So if you enjoyed it, do me a favor, drop a like. If you want to hear more, I mean, stop by the channel. We do daily discussions like this all the time. And of course, if y'all want to see me stream more, let me know about it in the comments too. If y'all would tune into some streams. I don't stream as much because I have a kid now, but I can make time for it. But with that being said, hope you all have a great day. Consider subscribing, like the video, and do me a favor, watch the videos you see on the end screen here, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you will like them. I will see y'all, ladies and gentlemen, next time. Bye for now, guys.